To begin with the aftermath of Hurricane Milton, the storm and the tornadoes it spawned caused widespread damage throughout Florida. Eva Pilgrim is on the scene in Lakewood Park. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, George. One of the deadliest parts of this hurricane is something people say they weren't even expecting. Take a look at this drone video that we shot. This damage that you see is not from hurricane force winds. It's from tornadoes that happened before the hurricane even made landfall on the opposite coast.
This morning, homes ripped apart, lives lost, killed by tornadoes spawned by Hurricane Milton.
Places that I saw looked like it was an atomic bomb blew it up.
At least 38 tornadoes reported in Florida, a record number of tornado warnings issued for the state. Homes shredded to pieces, neighborhoods left tattered. The top of this Fort Myers home completely ripped off. In Palm Beach Gardens, this dumpster flying straight into the roof. Governor Ron DeSantis surveying the damage, visiting St. Lucie County, where 12 tornadoes touched down in just an hour and a half.
Our number one goal is to continue our rescue efforts to rescue as many citizens as we can.
One of the areas hardest hit, Fort Pierce, where multiple people died in a small senior community, including 66-year-old Deborah Kennedy, who moved there earlier this year to care for her ex-husband. Her daughter telling ABC News, "I just want everybody to know what an amazing mother she has always been."
This is where we crossed, or tried to cross.
Across this tree?
Mike Johnson, who lives nearby, springing into action after the first tornado struck. Moments later, a second tornado touching down again in his neighborhood, causing more damage.
Why go over there? And the weather wasn't good last night.
I heard somebody hollering help, so I went. You know, three of us went.
You didn't even hesitate?
Nope. Not even until I noticed that the power lines were down, and then it hit me.
And I just want to show you the damage from here on the ground. We're at this church that's just in front of that neighborhood. This tree snapped, those hurricane shutters blown off, and the roof of the church there just completely gone. We saw crews out looking through the rubble in that neighborhood yesterday. I asked Mike, would you do that again? And without hesitation, Whit, he said, absolutely.
Wow, really is quite a scene out there. Eva Pilgrim for us, thank you. And we have more now on the destruction from Hurricane Milton. The search and rescue missions continue this morning, adding to the hundreds of rescues already across Florida, and millions are still without power. Victor Oquendo is in Venice with the latest. Victor, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. It looks like I'm walking on the beach, but none of this sand should be here. Milton pushed all of this in, and now these waterfront condos, which were cleaned out after Helene, are packed, stacked with feet of sand so high that when I stand next to it, I can see right over the roof.
This morning, the wrath of Hurricane Milton, the damage widespread.
Born and raised here, never seen nothing like this.
These homes south of Sarasota gutted, debris everywhere.
There's houses in the road, there's buildings in the road, everything's in the road.
This is a swimming pool, 5-foot deep swimming pool about where we're standing right now.
Massive amounts of sand pushed inland in Venice.
Sand almost up to the window here, about 6 feet of sand in this room, and look, it's almost at the top of this doorway, and now I'm standing above the roof.
In Tampa, high winds ripping the roof off of Tropicana Stadium, meant to be used as a shelter for 10,000 emergency workers, cots filling the field. St. Pete's streets flooded, water waist deep, many using boats to get around, but officials warning to stay out of the water, fearing scenes like these. An alligator brought ashore, attacking the vehicle. Search and rescue nonstop. And amazing stories of survival. A 14-year-old boy hanging on to a piece of a fence pulled from floodwaters. And more than 500 people rescued by boat at this flooded apartment complex in Clearwater.
In some areas around it, it was neck-deep water, so over the top of vehicles.
Many Floridians left picking up the pieces for the second time in 2 weeks.
We had Helene that came by. We had everything cleaned up, and then all of a sudden this comes around.
Milton leaves behind a mess on both coasts. Nearly 2.5 million homes and businesses still without power. Now cleaning up, digging out, and rebuilding will take months. Rebecca?
A very long road ahead. Okay, Victor, thank you. The back-to-back storms, meantime, in the southeast have raised concerns that FEMA is stretched too thin, both with personnel and money. Elizabeth Schulze is on Capitol Hill with the president's call for Congress to help the helpers. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Rebecca. Hurricanes Milton and Helene are rapidly draining funding from FEMA and other federal agencies. 6 states are still under emergency disaster declarations from these 2 storms. They need FEMA aid for search and rescue, rebuilding infrastructure, and cash assistance for storm survivors. Congress did allocate $20 billion for FEMA's disaster fund through September of next year. But as of October 10th, half of that money, $10 billion, has already been spent, and staffing shortages are adding to the crunch. Sources say that 9% of FEMA staff was available to respond to Milton or other disasters. The available workforce was about double that at this same time last year. Funding at other agencies like the Small Business Administration, which gives critical loans to homeowners and businesses, could also run out in a matter of weeks. Congress is on recess until November 12th, but President Biden and a bipartisan group of lawmakers in states that have been hit by these storms are now calling on Congress to return early to pass additional aid. So far, House Speaker Mike Johnson says he has no plan to do that. George.
Elizabeth Schulze.